Our first reader is a writer, editor, and recovering clinical microbiologist. What is she recovering from? Sorry. Anyway, her work has appeared in anthologies, comics, medical laboratory publications, and Shondaland.com. She also has 2 young adult novels out now, and a 3rd appearing later this year. When she isn't writing, she reads, knits, and hangs out with her husband and their 3 cats. Please welcome back to Tuesday Funk, Kelly Swails. Good night. Testing. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. So I'm going to read a baseball essay since, opening day was just a few days ago. Any baseball fans in the house? All Cubs?
Yeah.
Cardinals, White Sox? Oh, okay. I threw that in there because I'm like, I should because I don't want to be rude not to. And then there was one, so that's good. Anyway, this is an essay of mine that just appeared on Shondaland.com. And it's called A Change of Faith. When the topic of baseball comes up, and it will at some point between the months of March and October if you live in the United States, for me the conversation goes something like this. Oh, do you follow baseball at all? Someone will ask. Yeah. Who's your team? There it is. It's the question that will dictate the rest of the conversation. It's not one generally fraught with peril, but I've learned over the years my answer isn't one that's expected. The Cubs. And before they can go through the greatest hits, mentioning players like Ryan Sandberg or Ernie Banks or even Kerry Wood, I add, but I grew up a St. Louis Cardinals fan. I'm used to the surprised disbelief that comes with admitting that I've gone from loving one team to passionately rooting for their staunchest rival. My standard answer is ready. It's like changing your religion. It's like growing up Baptist and then becoming Catholic. We're more alike than different. It's just a matter of where you put your faith. I grew up in a small town in Illinois about an hour north of St. Louis, Missouri. Hating the Chicago Cubs was just what we did. They were perennially bad, if you asked us, and their fans were stupid for liking a bad team. And those snooty Chicago city folk thought they were better than us real Americans that lived and worked in and around St. Louis. The Cardinals were the only team that mattered, the only team that could ease my pain, and even still my tears as they did many times throughout my childhood. What's more, they were clearly superior by any metric. Golden Gloves, MVPs, and the all-important World Series wins. So I remained a Cardinals fan all through grade school and high school. It's what I knew, and that didn't change until college when I began the time-honored tradition of questioning everything I knew to be true. That included my love of the Redbirds. In my sophomore year, the guy I was dating snagged a pair of tickets to a Cubs Cards game. Sitting in Busch Stadium, I thought it'd be an opportune time to start a playful relationship rivalry. Seriously, why does your team suck so much? He bristled and asked, why are Cards fans such assholes? Well, your guys make it kind of easy. It's easy to like a team that's winning, and it's easy to make fun of people, but it takes heart to love a team who loses. Looking back, I realized we were exactly as playful as a Cubs and Cardinals fan could be toward one another. But I liked the guy I was dating, maybe even loved him, and I didn't want him to think I was an asshole. And he did have a point. It's easy to make fun of something. After that game and our playful banter, I stopped making fun of Cubs fans. And when he and I started spending more time together, I spent more time watching Cubs games in the little TV in his apartment. And since I didn't want to argue about whose team was better, or wonder aloud why over 30,000 people would pay good money just to see a team lose, I stopped rolling my eyes, and I started to actually watch the games. The first time I witnessed a fan at Wrigley Field throw a caught home run ball back into the outfield with an air of something like gleeful contempt, I gaped at the television. Why did that guy do that? Someone just hit a homer and this yahoo just threw it back onto the field. That's what you do at Wrigley. But it's a major league souvenir. He shrugged. If the Cub didn't hit the homer, then the ball's probably defective. I was flummoxed, but beginning to see how deep Cubs loyalty ran. It wasn't until I visited Wrigley Field for the first time in the early 2000s that I appreciated all the history behind its home team. Much of the trappings are the same in any ballpark, of course. A statue of a long-dead great player. Check. Retired numbers prominently displayed. Check. All of those mementos are even more revered at Wrigley. I visited at a time when the team hadn't been to the World Series since 1945. With that kind of distance, that kind of longing and hope, a player's number flying over the stands has more significance. It's a comforting memento of a better time, a reminder that, as another famous Chicagoan once said, yeah, we can. When they haven't won a World Series since 1908, when the game was the same but completely different, those series banners are special too. When no one in your family has lived to witness a World Series Cubs team, it makes passing on the tradition of loving the Cubs to the next generation even more important. Someone needs to be around to see them win it, and that someone had better appreciate their roots. During that visit, I sensed the integral ingredient steeped within Wrigley. It's faith. It's in the air, it's in the water, and it's in every single seat in the place. It doesn't matter if the team is dead last in the division or the entirety of Major League Baseball. It doesn't matter if the season is effectively over in August. There's always next year. Cubs fans turn the other cheek at the end of the season, readily willing to say, we're getting a new coach or a player, or maybe a player to be named later, and we'll be better. If there's one thing every Cubs fan has in common, it's the unwavering belief that next year will be better than this one. The first time I laid eyes on the ivy wall and the old scoreboard, I felt it all. After that visit, I made the full switch to Cubs fandom. Nothing brought that unwavering loyalty and love into sharp relief like the 2016 season. The energy of the fan base pervaded the entire year. We had a renovated stadium, ownership who loved the team as much as the fans did because they were fans, and management who combined science and emotion to cultivate a winning environment. As the regular season ended and the postseason progressed, Cubs gear dotted the cemeteries. The walls outside of Wrigley became chalkboard shrines to both loved ones and the players who had passed. And the team, they pulled it off. In the early hours of November 3rd, 2016, I joined my husband and tens of thousands of fans in a pilgrimage to Wrigley Field. We bathed in the victory. I smiled and laughed and hugged strangers. Fans celebrated the end of a 108-year World Series drought as one big, dysfunctional, loving family. Our love of the Cubs had been vindicated, the years of hope and faith rewarded. A ball snapping into a leather glove. Gnats dancing over grassy outfields, and chants of, hey, batter, 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 hanging in the air. Each spring, the dance starts again. Sunlight, water, and the love of the crowd will turn the masses of ivy at Wrigley from brown to a brilliant emerald green. Banners will whip in the wind as we chatter about adding another World Series champion flag to the others. If 2017 was less than we had hoped for, well, this year will be better. Winning a series didn't dampen our hopes and dreams. If anything, they're intensified. It's unlikely we'll have to wait 108 years for another championship title. But if we do, well, we'll still show up for games. We'll throw defective home run balls back into the field. And we'll start each season with the mantra, this is going to be our year in our hearts. Telling people it's like switching religions to explain my transition from Cardinals to Cubs is more accurate than I first realized. Love encourages a person's good qualities to flourish. Hope works toward greatness while mired in despair. Faith believes what others find unbelievable. If that doesn't describe the faithful, whether their place of worship is a church, temple, or baseball field, then I don't know what does.